I hope you're doing okay. I saw a lot of breakthrough moments posted on your wall. I quite like that. So to me, there's always something going on from your side. I feel, oh, Benson is really moving towards something
Mm,
big. It's very fascinating to see.
mm. So yeah, I was thinking I'm trying to optimize this sort of chat. I do it with I think I'm trying to maybe I think that's sort of my limit. Otherwise I'll just be spending money talking. I'm come up with a random structure, not that random, but maybe we can sort of structure it a little bit. I mean we just sort of like a catch up anyway, but like a positive catch up as well. So
Okay.
it's sort of my oops. So, let's see. The first one, yeah, just some catch up. So, what have you been up to? What have you been up to? You sort of see, I sort of share my life on Facebook. So, and you don't seem to share as much as I do, or at
Yeah,
least.
well, no. Let's say I do tend to get. Sometimes I feel that it's a bit too much for me to. I'm doing so much tracking for myself, for example, so to keep track of all the groups, to keep in contact with all people, and to post something myself. I'm still trying to optimize that. I'm still trying to find a way. I would like to, for example, post more about language learning on music, videos of me playing the cello, etc. But I haven't yet found a way to do this properly, to find the energy and the time. So yeah, I'm taking a lot from you. You seem to be getting this done, and I quite like that. So there's always inspiration coming from you to me. So that's absolutely great. And last time, I wanted to. There were a few things that I was very curious about. So,
Yes, go ahead.
uh, you told me. I think it was at age
I'll
10.
just find my headphones. Okay.
Okay, yeah, it's okay. Shall I go on or shall I wait?
Yes, yes, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay, don't worry. Now, you told me. There were a few things where we felt we were somewhat complementary. So you were a bit fascinated by me doing sports, music, artistic side of life. And I told you that, you're coming from a very different cultural background. You came here to Europe. I think at
Mm,
age 10, you moved to London and
yeah.
you entered what I call the corporate world, things that were very strange constructs for me. So what I'd really like to know, I think it was age 10 you told me, around age 10 you moved to London from initially Macau, or where are you from
Yes,
initially?
great
Okay.
memory. Yes, I
So,
was born in Macau, China. Yes.
basically, so your native language is Cantonese rather than Chinese, or do you speak
Yes.
both?
Yes. Well, my mother tongue is Cantonese, yes, and I
Okay.
learned Mandarin after English, actually. Actually,
Okay. So,
my Mandarin.
so you learned Mandarin when you were in London or in Europe in general. So you didn't learn
Well, I
it
learned
in.
it when I was in Macau too, and it was English from age 3, and then Mandarin from age 10, Portuguese from age 12, and then I moved to
Okay.
London when I was 13. Yep.
So,
Mm.
do you still remember, firstly, what were the reasons for you to move, for your family to move to London, and how you felt? Do you remember the first few months, and what struck you as remarkable? What were the things that well that were going through your head at that time?
Oh, okay, fascinating. So while it was towards the end of the Portuguese colonization, and most people wanted um, to move to Europe, just to sort of uh, a fear of the Communist Party. I mean,
Okay.
it's sort of like a flood of people moving out. So there was sort of my family as well, and because yeah, because of various reasons, quite a few people, quite a lot of, well, not quite a lot, a significant number of people in Macau
Yeah.
have a Portuguese citizenship, so it's quite easy to move to Europe.
Ah,
Anyway, so I just tagged along with my parents and my sister.
okay. And you moved to London and went to school there. And obviously, did you speak any English before you moved there?
Yes, so I learned English from age 3, so my English was perfectly okay. But in the
Okay.
sense that the school that I went to is most after I mean, age 10, age 9 or age 10, all subjects besides Chinese and Chinese history are taught in English anyway. Well, besides Portuguese
Okay.
and Mandarin as well. So like all sciences, history, geography, mathematics, science, religious studies, etc. were all taught in English. So my Commandos English was okay. So you was just adjusting to the English accent because it was a mixture of Filipino and some American accent and some weird and random Chinese accent. Because it was a Catholic school after all, so some Portuguese priest, Filipino priest, sort of like a mixture of
Okay. A metropolitan
yeah,
accent.
a metropolitan, whatever that is. Chinese makes Portuguese makes Filipino
Yeah.
accent. That was what I was learning, and of it, and then some and sometimes once in a while there's some European as well. Anyway, so you were just adjusting to that accent and then adjusting to the different school system, and then generally I do feel that on the average school for the average school, I feel that in Asia is better. It just I don't know, is it cultural or I don't know, is it the system? I don't know what. I'm still coming up. I'm still trying to come up with my theory, but yeah, it was just quite it was just quite a shock that how low the average level of English and mathematics was.
Okay. But in terms of cultural adaptation or adapting to the cultural life, that wasn't such a big step for you, having
No,
that
no,
kind
no.
of
Obviously, there are always a little culture shock, not shock, but cultural curiosity. I call them. For
ah,
example, like the degree of like how much you are expected to say thanks, how much you're expected to express your gratitude to someone is different in different culture.
yeah.
In England more than in China, in France more than in England. And
Right.
then and how much you greet someone, it's sort of little things like that. And then for example, it took me a long while to understand when I show my ticket to the bus driver why I was expected to say something. It was like it doesn't quite register in my previous
Yeah.
culture. It was like yeah, we're not exactly you're just driving the bus and I'm just taking the passenger. Why do I need to say thanks and why do I need to greet you? And 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 then yeah, and then you're taking it to the next level in France, in Paris now. Like, why do I need to keep greet everyone in the changing room? And it's like it feels a bit it feels a bit weird, like naked men greeting each other randomly. Why?
Oh,
So it's
well,
just
fascinating.
it's fascinating. I
It's
mean, it's just it's things like that really fascinate me.
right, yeah. I think there's even a discrepancy in how people go about these things, depending on whether they're from the countryside or from a big city. I mean, I'm from Frankfurt, which is a rather big city for at least in our standards, according to our
Yep.
standards. um, and of course, people do greet each other way less than if you're if you're living in a little village, and people of course know each other better, and you're expected to greet each other. Um,
Mm.
but there's this kind of there are people around here who greet each other just because they're expected, but there's no genuine warmth. It's just politeness and sticking to expectations, to levels of expectations. And, I quite like to be in a community where I actually greet because I want to, because I'm happy to see people and because I'm curious about them or something. But that is, of course, something that's very difficult to realize in a city such as,
Ah.
say, London or Paris, to go about greeting everyone, hi,
Mm.
and how are you doing? But I'd actually
Yeah.
love that.
I was watching a video a friend recommended me the channel School of Life. One of them, there is a fascinating video about the idea of monasticism. Obviously not, well, obviously the original meaning is just to being a monk, but it sort of like talked about the history of it. You can see how this is related quite soon. And then the idea of living in communes, starting by the Greek philosophers, communities, it would actually be quite nice. I mean, not so much of moving to a small village, but it would be very nice to live in a commune of like-minded people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Polyglots, entrepreneurs, both,
Right.
whatever. But there isn't any. There isn't there. I mean, for example, the closest thing that we had was like the hippie movement, like in the 70s. I don't want to become I don't quite want to become a hippie. Maybe I do actually. They just aren't there. Maybe it would be quite nice to start something. Maybe we can start a Facebook group.
You know, I mean, there are lots of things that go in that direction. I mean, if you look back at your experience with the Add One challenge, with the Level Up challenge, all these things, there are like-minded people. And to me, as a musician, whenever I'm in an orchestra, it's easier to share that kind of open-mindedness with people and to greet each other, to be genuinely interested, because there's so much. You know, you have common grounds. It's easier to connect, to reach out. But anyway, going back, so at age 10 you're in England, and it wasn't that much of a shock because you were, let's say, culturally prepared. Can you say that? You had some exposure to English already. You had some exposure to the culture, obviously, by means of the language, and read something. But did you feel right at home in England, in London, or in Europe in general? Don't know which was the one you felt most about.
To be honest, there are things that I really like about each culture, and there are things that what's the most positive way to put it? There are things
that I'm rather underwhelmed with.
Yeah.
Things that were underwhelming.
I'm underwhelmed by. There is always room. Okay, let's think of it. There are things that are not in the same. It's such a convoluted way to say it. There are things that are not so much in my wavelength. That is, yeah. So, but I feel that the best way is not to find such a place, but to create such a place.
Ah, great.
Maybe it would be. I mean, obviously, you mentioned the wonderful groups that we belong to. We have belonged to. L and Challenge, but then that is just on a Facebook level. It would be very, very nice to make it into a physical level.
Absolutely, yeah.
If there is a place with at least, I don't know, 10, 20 people in Europe, I would just go there. I don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you live in Paris. You obviously know about the polyglot regular meeting. I don't know what it's called, but I've been there, I think 2 years back when I was in Paris for a visit. There is a weekly polyglot gathering, or just a meeting at a bar. Have you never been there?
No, I've been there. I've been. I've been to many meetups. I mean, there is a meetup.com. There is also a French version called On Va Sortir. .com originally sounds like a dating site, but it's not really a dating site. It's more like a meetup.com adapted to the French culture. Oh, I don't know. Maybe that is the way that I thought about it. Anyway, and but it would be very nice to have actually a physical community. I would so go there. I would maybe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I feel the same. And
for example, if you did Maya, or if Richard Simcott create a community, just have a village somewhere, and not necessarily the village, but then, or maybe even in the big city. I think that would be a good transition.
So basically creating your own hippie community, just not being hippie, just
exactly.
Yeah, right.
I would so go for it. Maybe I don't know. I don't think it exists. I really don't think it exists.
Yeah. I think I like how you put creating your own home, and it's been 2 years now that we've moved to Saarbrücken, the city we live in now.
Yeah.
And it was difficult, both of us working full-time jobs, to create such a place. It was at the same time it was also difficult to keep in touch with your old friends. So now we're making progress. So we're getting in touch with people and trying to create these kinds of communities. But I feel this is something that's very yeah, I'd love to have that all the time, and let's say online level, it's at times I feel a bit overwhelmed by the many groups, the many people you are in touch with, but you don't they're not physically present, and that's a significant difference. And
It's something that I do. Maybe some people say it's over the top, and but I agree with another friend. What I do is that I actually have a list. I have an organized priority list of people in London, in Paris, and around the world that I feel are contributing somehow to my life in terms of companionship or inspiration or whatever positive value they give me, and I only focus my interactions with them.
cool, yeah.
I don't, folks. Let me I just tell you how many. I'm not giving names, but let me see. Maybe I can further optimize this list. So if I'm going too far, I want some people to tell me too, but you can sort of tell me. So for example, in Paris, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people in the active list. And I know many. I just by my random personality, I do actually know a lot more people, but I cannot keep in touch with all of them all the time.
Absolutely.
So the one that I try to keep in touch with the most are the top 3, and then followed by the sort of, and then add 2 more. Those people, I make an effort to send a message, to send a text message, to send a message on Facebook, to go to not sure what places, and then so that is what I do in London.
Right,
Now I'm
so
not so much in London.
okay,
I'm
great.
not.
So you're making an active effort to keep in touch. Basically, you don't leave it to coincidence, because
No.
that's what I've mostly been doing. Of course, I've been trying, but then rather than leave it to the randomness of, okay, do I really feel up to texting or doing a phone call, an actual phone call, or paying a visit? You actually try to to go about it in a very active fashion. I like that. I like that quite. I should be doing that.
It's not. It's because we are. I do honestly believe that we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. For example, like at the beginning, is for example, I'm still working out the best, the optimal interaction with my colleagues. Because it's just sometimes I don't know. I just don't feel that I'm contributing anything or they're contributing anything to me. So I sometimes just end up having a lunch myself, and then I actually just connect with someone else around the world, and then that is actually better for me and for that person. And then I get more positive energy from that, either through a mastermind call, one business project that I'm prioritizing now, and that is sort of like I've tried many things, and then now I found one that I think that will actually take me to potential financial independence. So that one I'm working on with someone, and then so that call, and then some mastermind call, and yeah, just various things. I mean, I try to do things with intentions.
That's
Yeah,
great. That's a great way to go about things. And yeah, something that I've put on my list to do, because I think it's so great to. It's an effort. It's well spent energy, and it pays back 1,000-fold. So yeah, it's great, because I feel in general we leave too much to randomness, and just, okay, we keep in touch. This is something we say, but maybe we keep in touch way less than we might want. And I've once read something about people who were very close to dying, and they were asked what they regretted, and most people said they didn't regret. They regretted things they didn't do, and mostly it was not keeping in touch with friends, for example, letting
For
go.
example, that's sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, and I feel the same. I feel I should make a conscious effort to keep in touch and to actively go about it, to actively approach this. So thanks for the
Maybe I'm taking it a
inspiration.
bit too far, but then for some I think of my friendship using like a CRM approach is quite. I'm not trying to get money out of them, but people that, for example, like I've been playing with CRM software called Contextually. I got it from one entrepreneur podcast. You sort of put people into basket, clients, potential clients, and then you then sort of you are for certain people once a week, once a month, once every 2 months, and then there's certain things that you talk about. And I feel that maybe I can sort of do the same thing for my social interaction. Obviously, I want to leave something to chance as well, otherwise I'm just going over the top. But I feel that by the principle of reciprocity, the people, if you use time in a certain individual, they will usually reciprocate back. If you sort of invite them a few times, they will invite you, then you don't have to make so much effort.
Right.
But then those are the intentional. For example, something that I just realized from this conversation is, for example, with a colleague, if I am not going to spend any time, if I am not going to contact him again after I leave this job, I don't quite see the ROI if I spend a lot of time with him. You know what I mean? I'm trying to not
totally understand.
Yeah, so it's sort of like if a certain person he may be able to help me, not so much just always financial, but it can sort of be on a social level, on just anything, just life. In life, not so much maybe I don't like to maybe just contribute to my life and I contribute to him. Obviously, it's always reciprocity. Then those people I try to spend more time with. Yeah, I think, for example, if I'm in conversation with someone, well, obviously, but then currently I try to go to a team lunch once a week, and I try to force myself not to go more than once a week, because I feel that I can invest my time otherwise.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that is actually, let me write it down. I think that is sort of my current, because I've tried to not have no lunch conversation, just or lunch by myself or with one or two close colleagues, but then that makes me feel a bit isolated as well. So I feel that the optimum for me, for my personality and for my situation, once a week team lunch is quite nice. And then also it's just sort of learning on my own personality. I prefer one-to-one or with 2 people or 3 people in a lunch, so that sort of just works better for my personality.
Right.
And then I also try to have time for myself where I can just think about things. I don't know how I can take it to the next level. I feel that I've sort of my sort of monthly interaction with you is you are very positive source of energy, and then another entrepreneur friend in London, one CTO, one famous author, and I feel that internet marketer, I feel that they correspond with my life goal, and the other life goal of mine is to, if I can connect with someone who is into personal development and sports in Paris, I think that would be sort of the optimal.
Okay, yeah, right. Next level. Talking about next level. Yeah. So how's your how have you been doing in terms of physical progress or getting healthy? You know, food.
Yes, I have made a very good discovery. I thought that I've been running excessively, and that's why I had some foot pain. And then actually, funny enough, I was listening to some Periscope fitness expert in quotes. Well, maybe he's a fitness expert on Periscope. I asked him a question. I have pain. What can I do? He said, "Oh, just change your shoes." Okay. So
All
then I
right.
went to the shop, and then they said, "Oh, actually, you don't need to try to change your shoes. Just change your socks first, because it's much cheaper." So I had the socks. That didn't help, and then I went on to buy the shoes. Just basically, he says the Asics versus the Nike, they support different bits of the feet. Apparently, the Nike shoes support the back of the foot more than the middle. The Asics support the middle more than the back, depending on the way you run. Asics may suit more people, and according to the Periscope guy, for most people running, having a pair of Asics shoes is better. So then I invested £70 on these Asics shoes, and now I'm running almost basically daily. And
Wow, great, absolutely.
I thought I had to pivot to another sport because I don't want to do long-term damage. But it was just the shoes after all. Because at the end of the day, I only run max 45 meters a day. I mean, how on earth is that going to do me long-term damage? I didn't know. So at the end of the day, the culprits were just the shoes.
Okay, great. Good to hear, absolutely. Because I remember last time you told me how you had some negative self-belief about physicality, sports, and it's great to hear that you've made significant progress and basically overcome that. That's good news. So you know that I've been very much into freeletics. You know, I've always been a sportive person. I did swimming when I was young, and I always loved sport activity. I always like to move about. I like to climb and do stuff that I still do. You know, when you're working, it's quite difficult to keep up that, or it used to be difficult to keep up a certain routine. And I've started Freeletics, which is basically just, it was a free app. There are workouts in there, and it's all the principle is just it's body weight, high intensity workouts. And I just thought, wow, okay, it looks nice. I watched the videos of people doing the workouts. I thought, hey, I'm a sportive guy, I can do this, and boy, was that hard. Okay, I've really done tough stuff in my past, but this was it was really I wouldn't say I was approaching my limits. I was going beyond them. So it was really that tough. Basically, sore muscles all over. But you know, the kind of mental progress that I made, I knew it would be tough. But going into workout and knowing full well this is probably the toughest thing you've ever done, but you can do it. You know, this kind of the certain ease you go about this. Kind of aplomb that you gain and the self-confidence, that was really remarkable. So should you ever want to try something different from running, thing that I recommend, by the way, not doing long and mid-tempo runs, but high interval running, so high intensity sprints followed up with short breaks and stuff. And Freeletics basically follows these principles: high intensity, short rests, and you're really going all the way in each and every workout. It's really quite remarkable.
Yes, it's something. Thanks for your advice. I have added to my action list. How I don't know. Maybe I'm going over the top. Actually, I feel that the reason I appreciate running so much is that I can listen to my podcast.
Yeah,
and now
right.
I've optimized my changing. It's great. I don't know. Does anyone do that? I optimized my changing room routine so that the way now I put on my clothes is that I always put on my trousers so that I can put my phone into it and so that I can turn on my podcast listening to Tim Ferriss. Wow.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great.
The less yeah. So it sort of optimized my consumption time. And then obviously I try and do some meditation and some relaxation as well.
Great.
yeah, but I think maybe that could be going over the top.
But I quite like that. You know, I've been reading a lot of Anthony Robbins, and I'm the 5 power questions in the morning and the power questions in the evening. They've really made a big difference. But you know, I'd really like to go into podcast listening as well, because I feel, like you said, when you're running, when you're doing, I'm cycling every day. I'm cycling to school, to my work. I'm a teacher, so that and I love that, going through nature. But some of the time that I spend cycling, I could definitely get some motivation boost from Tim
Well,
Ferriss.
obviously
Yeah,
with safety in mind as well. Um, yeah, I think for example, if you are in obviously if you're in a busy street, I mean, the only thing is just listening to music, because that is not so distracting. If you
yeah.
listen
No,
to like
so basically, I'm not in real traffic. So I think I once told you that I live very close to a natural reserve, or an area where
wonderful, I don't
there's
think
no
you may miss
traffic.
that.
So it's a half-hour ride, and 25 of those 30 minutes I'm basically in the midst of nature. It's really that perfect. So and there are the only people that I meet are people who are running their dogs. So
Okay, so there is no okay.
there is no tough traffic. I'm not going at, you know, I am a rather sportive person, but going to school on my bike, I prefer to take it a little easier, so my tempo is not that high. And if I were to listen to anything, I'd play it safe. I usually listen
Yeah,
to it only with one ear or something. Keep it in a
yeah,
responsible way.
yeah. If you don't mind, let me sort of suggest my take on this. So start with maybe just my intuition. Maybe you can start with some foreign language music, or start with some German music, and then move on to English music or English music, depending on what you like. I mean, sort of content that you're comfortable listening to, and then transition that to something. Because if you are not used to listening to anything, and then you go to listening to ebooks, to audiobooks, that would be a
Ah,
very
no.
big jump.
I'm very much into audiobooks. I'm just not. Let's say I've never listened to any self-help or so. I've been listening to audiobooks from literature, basically. So I'm quite fond of.
Ah.
So my approach, you know, that I'm very fond of literature. I'm big Tolkien and Shakespeare fan. And whatever if I can get my hands on an audiobook with a great actor that I love, I'm very much into voices and the sound of voices, or rather the music of voices. I try to get that, and whenever I'm reading something in my favorite literature, I'm always trying to read it aloud, emulating my language daddies, or so I call them. So I try to adopt their voices, their accents. And so, for example, I have the Silmarillion. If you don't know anything about Tolkien, it's read by Christopher Lee, a very famous British actor who's just recently passed away at age. I think he grew to be nearly 100 years old. He was the one with the very deep and booming voice. So yeah, I'm very much into listening to that. So that I won't have problems adapting to this. But let's say, do you do this when you're walking, or on the train, on the bus? When are you doing this? Listening to podcasts
And it's all time.
all the time.
Um,
Okay.
the
Are you
first
doing it consciously, or let's say at the back of your mind, or do you give it your full focus?
well, the first thing that I do when I wake up is to put on the put on my headphones and listen and to start some podcast. While I even just sort of roam around just what's the word? Roll around in bed. And then so my morning I had half an hour of consumption already. It wakes me up quicker. Actually, something that I do sometimes there's something called I forgot the term, but what I realized is that a few minutes on looking at social media actually wakes me up quite quickly. So I should do that, and then I move on to podcast, because if I don't do that, then I just sort of just looking at my Facebook and Twitter notification for a few minutes is actually one way to wake up quite quickly. Just a stimulation and light, and then I put on my podcast. A lot of people advise against that, but I actually advise for it, because it's a bit like alcohol. Half a glass is actually good, and half a glass a day.
I
Anything
would.
more than that is not good.
Okay, I wouldn't perfectly agree with the alcohol comparison, but it doesn't matter what I understand what you're saying. Basically, it's if you can deal with it. That's what I if you can
Yeah,
deal with it, you
yeah,
can do it.
intentional. Yeah.
I for example, I can't deal with it. I know I need to. When I look at that, it's way too much, and I know I'm just going to look at it. I'm not going to do anything about it, and it's just going to make me cause some distress. So I wouldn't do it. But I know if I had it perfectly under control, so to speak, I certainly I can certainly feel what you're saying there. So yeah, right. And you seem to have it under control. Great. So you're waking up to Tim Ferriss, and what have you recently been listening to? Tim Ferriss, the
I can tell
four.
you. Give me.
Tim Ferriss is the 4 hours anything basically, right?
Yeah. Anything. Let me. My interest change. For example, lately I quite like a podcast called Master of Memory. Just talking about mnemonics.
Okay, so is
Um,
that Anthony Metivier or is that?
it's another one.
Okay.
Um,
Do you know Jim Quick? Because I've Jim Quick is also a memory master, so to speak, a memory teacher. Jim Quick.
James
He's
Quick.
also very, yeah, Quick, Kwik, very very charming guy, and no, he's quite good at that. But I've never delved deeper into mnemonics.
It's something. Just listening to the podcast for like months, even I still haven't really used memory palaces or mnemonics properly. It's just sort of like entertaining. I think eventually you inspire me to do something. For example, like this entrepreneurial stuff, it taken me years of consumption before I actually started trying something, and now I feel that I can go somewhere. And I think not taking actions is not good, but just not consuming anything is even. I mean, just to do something.
Yeah,
I
I
feel that it's
understand.
just,
Yeah.
yeah.
It needs some
Um,
input before you can put it to use, because before you can.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
like language learning. It's like the language learning debate thing, like input, output. Obviously, the best is the output, but if there's no output, it's good to keep inputting the input anyway.
Any output is based on input. So yeah, right. um, yeah, I feel the same. Yeah, sorry.
No
Um,
worries. So okay. Oh, it was just a very time flies by when we're having fun. So let's see. Any okay. Intentional about the conversation. So any challenges that you are facing, or anything that you want to sort of particular
yeah,
or
absolutely.
you want to talk about? Can you
Challenge.
share?
We mentioned we both have been part of the Ad One challenge. I've just finished, or I'm about to finish my second Ad One challenge. I've been doing Italian, so it's been half a year of Italian, and I'm about to do my day 90 video. I originally intended to have it done by now, but been a bit ill last week, so couldn't get around to doing it. Last month of this challenge, I didn't really do that much, but still I made progress, which I found quite fascinating. So it was, so to speak, all the things were falling into their places. So I made sense of all of it, even without. I didn't really have many conversations with native speakers, and I didn't really stick to my study routine that much. But I've learned so much, constant inspiration by people from the Out One Challenge, from the Level Up Challenge, all these lovely people who keep being inspiring for me. So I've decided to start a new challenge and to pick myself up again. I'm at a level in Italian where I feel I can maintain it, and I would probably do something like Glossica multilingual package. You know, that he has the trilingual, quadrilingual packages where he just has 4 languages or something, and you have the weather is nice today, and then you have it in however many languages you want. And I'm thinking of doing that to do a bit of maintenance in the languages. Because that feels manageable, more manageable than what I'm currently doing. And I'm taking on Arabic next. I'm gonna be starting Arabic practically today, I think. So tomorrow is the first day of the challenge, and this is
Is
because
that an ever challenge or just a personal thing?
no, it's part of it. It's the I've signed up for the new Add One challenge. I still had a voucher, so I thought I think I'm going to stick to the group and see where I'm going from there. But Arabic it's not only about the language, it's about the culture, about opening my mind. You know, I've always had some reservations, even prejudices about the cultural background, about um, um, the Arabic world, so to speak. And I feel it's time to overcome that. And I feel it's particularly important with all the things going on and the rifts between the, well, let's say, Central European world, or the Christian dominated world and the Muslim dominated world, which is essentially Arabic and Europe, you say. So, and we have many refugees from Arabic countries in Germany. We have so many people from Syria. So what better way to welcome them and to overcome?
Yeah, so time to learn Syrian Arabic. I was thinking
Yeah.
exactly the same thing.
So that's just it's just a perfect way to reach out, to learn and inspire, to yeah, just share some love and enthusiasm. So that's I'm quite enthusiastic about starting something from scratch. It's nothing, you know. When I started learning Italian, I had Spanish to rely on and French and English. So there was a lot already that helped me. So Italian was easier because there was so much shared vocabulary. I could guess words, I could guess structures, and I was quite accurate. But with Arabic, there is hardly anything I can rely on, and that's, well, quite a cool challenge.
Yeah, so well, I'm not sure how appropriate this is, but I did had one of my favorite what is it called? One of my favorite Twitter comments for my Periscope thing was like, imagine. Okay, so it was just the morning of the police raid, and one guy was like, imagine you have to experience that every day for years. This would be exactly the same in Syria.
Right.
Do you any sympathy, empathy? And I was like, yes, obviously. And something else, I went to the health center just to sort of quickly get over the fact is like, and then as I was going up the stairs, I mean, the usual health center has been transformed to a crisis center, and there was a lot of psychologists and psychiatrists and counselor and whatever you have, and whatnot, and therapists, and there was a group of people from Red Cross, and then and then one of them were, oh, and one of them was putting a hand on my shoulder. Oh, do you want some water? Do you want a coffee? I came in. Do you want to chat? And then at that moment, I realized something very. I felt that I realized something very profound. It's actually almost brought me to tears. It's always about giving and receiving. Because I have been giving to a few charities for many years, and when if for whatever occasion you prompted me to share it with someone, they always saying, they misuse the money. It's not good for the world, but blah blah blah, and then they just discourage everyone else doing it. But I feel that it was the right thing to do, because And then at that particular moment, they realized that it was actually the right thing to do, because at some moment I may actually receive it, and I wasn't exactly much. It was just a pat. You were just a pat in the shoulder,
Yeah,
and then an offer of
a much needed one at that.
of a drink. But it's sort of like what is, yeah, it's just sort of everything goes wrong, like a merry-go-round sort of thing. I feel that if we sort of give, we will receive either something tangible or non-tangible. Non-tangible is just a good feeling that we could have helped someone, and then tangible, it could be one day we could be the recipient of this help. We don't know. We live in a world of uncertainty, as always, and
Yeah, we do.
it's probably right to say it's now more uncertain than before. So yeah, I mean, that was just sort of some life lessons from November. A few
Right.
profound.
I absolutely love how you go about how you went about dealing with that. I mean, you remain positive, and you're taking the lessons. And I know there are lots of people who grow bitter from such events and spread negativity rather than, which is going to fuel more conflicts, etc. So, yeah, lovely. So,
Yeah, let me share just a few things that was quite. I mean, we'll share with other people. They made this, some internet trials, and I'm just trying to grow my social media. But then I feel that at that moment, I feel that it was something that I was genuinely positive that I was trying to do. After many interviews, I was like, what message can I spread to the world? And then it was the BBC Radio 5 interview, and then what do you think of the world? And I was like, let me just say something. Let me just say something sort of almost like a platitude, but at least something positive. I was like, oh, and then basically I left the interview with saying, I believe in love more than hatred. I was like, maybe then I have said something positive in that. I mean, there was nothing like that in the hour of interview. So there was something positive that I was trying to do. And in Canada as well, the CTV interview, I was also trying to say the same. Actually, at that time, it was love over hatred or something. I always try and promote it. The other thing was the learn languages. I was like, why not? This is the perfect.
I saw that one. Yeah, that was
yeah. Maybe you've seen that one. That was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, let me try to give a plug, not to myself, but just to language learning. Why not? And then I sort of gave a plug on that. So to Canada, I gave a plug on language learning. To the United Kingdom, I gave a plug on love over hatred, and I was trying to give a few other plugs, but sometimes they edit it out. But nothing, nothing that I can do. So, and then one of them I was trying to do a different plug every time, otherwise it would just be, it doesn't seem like a news interview anymore. So one of them was trying to plug for knowledge sharing. So a few, these are the few things that I share the most, that I treasure the most in my life: language learning, and for me, personal development is basically love over hatred. And
right.
then
Well said.
And knowledge sharing, language learning, and yeah, that was what I was trying to share. So maybe, well, besides obviously there was some internet trial comments, but then there were also got a few lovely private message on Facebook and Twitter and blah blah blah. It was also quite nice. But yeah, I feel that all in all, it is all about intentionality, about harmony, about consumption, about friendship, about many things. As long as it's basically intentionality is just another way to say mindfulness. But then the word mindfulness has been used so much that it sort of lost its meaning, basically. But it's basically, at the end of the day, everything is all about mindfulness.
Right.
Then if I am to add something to mindfulness, to this idea, I don't know, do you know the origin of mindfulness? Or the mindfulness comes from Sanskrit, SMRTI, smriti, and then it just basically means to remember. To remember what? To remember our intentions. So it sort of goes in a circle.
Yeah, right.
And so yeah, any goal setting for the last month of 2015. So let's try and let's do a mini review. Why not? It's sort of December now. We don't meet again this year. Let's see. So we have participated in a couple of @ONE challenges. The Paris event for me. You are practicing the cello more than before, from what I gathered.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I've basically continued my routines, and there are quite a lot of them. And like singing, playing the cello, playing the piano, like meditating, doing the power questions, yoga, freeletics, breathing exercises, drinking a green smoothie. What I'd like to improve on is I've fallen back a bit on my nutritional habits. So due to less than stellar planning, I've come. The time when you get home, you haven't eaten for a long while, and you're basically ravenously hungry, like a wolf. And that is when I consume all the kind of crap food that there is, mostly sugar-based, meat-based, even though I've been a vegetarian for so long. So I want to go back to a nature-based diet, approaching veganism. And I have all the resources. It's just a matter of planning it properly and absolutely committing myself to that. I feel I'm somewhat spread thin sometimes because there are so many things I'm committed to. Um, I'm still trying to find better ways to deal with all of that.
So obviously, the thing that I would say, and I also say to myself, is that is the book called The One Thing by Carey something? Oh, I forgot his name. But I think the power question is, what is the one thing that I can do such that everything else will become much easier or even unnecessary? I think that is the power question of the power questions.
That is the power question. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. I keep going back to that one.
Yeah. But then maybe if I ask myself that, I mean, to be honest, I was doing the 5-minute journal. It's only got like 4 questions anyway. It's quite short already. But if I'm to do no questions at all, I think that would be the question to ask. And in fact, let me add it to my. We can actually end up doing so many things that we sort of lost. We can lose the original. Okay, so
yeah, right. Yeah, you can get spread so thin you don't remember what was your main purpose.
Okay, so to sort of like a closing remark, this question and some closing remarks. So, what is the one thing that Alex can do such that everything will become much easier or unnecessary for Alex?
Yeah, I can stop procrastinating, and I will always do the top priority thing. The thing that is on the top list, that should be on the top list, is the thing that can potentially cause the most stress. So just go about it like that. If I do that one thing, life's gonna be easy.
But what does that mean concretely to you? How do you identify the top priority thing, and what is the matrix that you use?
Okay, like I said, the matrix is the definition of the top thing. The one thing that I need to do is the thing that causes the most stress to me. For example, that might be, I don't know, I'm a teacher. I prepare my lessons, but I also like to, I'm not a teacher who likes to have everything perfectly planned into detail. I like to be spontaneous or go about things and change them. But let's say if you go into a week and you don't have anything up your sleeve, that is something when that causes distress, or when there's a conflict that remains unresolved, that's still bugging you, or something. Things that take up your mind power, basically. Things that occupy you, and if you don't get rid of them, by doing them, then they're causing me stress. That's seriously things that I need to that I set out to do better. I'm improving, but there is a lot more that I can do.
So, in summary, your interpretation of this question is, what was the one thing? Is that basically what's the one thing that's most bugging you? In short.
In short, because if I get rid of that, then my life is quite good. You know?
I don't fully agree that that is, because I feel like that is actually quite limiting, because the thing that is most bugging you may not be the thing that gives you the most long-term happiness. I mean, resolving the resolution
in
of
that
the
case, I
biggest.
think you misunderstood. Let me rephrase that. You know,
Okay.
I'm doing a lot of things that I love doing. I basically,
Yes.
I'm at a point where I've created a life that I really love. I'm doing things like playing the
Congratulations.
cello. I'm singing. I'm doing yoga. I'm doing freeletics. I'm going outside, doing breathing exercises on the balcony, etc. There are lots of things. I'm a football coach. I work with young people. I see their sparkling eyes filled with enthusiasm. This is lovely, but I'm still sometimes not doing the things. I'm procrastinating important things, and I'm frequently doing that. So I haven't yet managed
So what
to
is that?
find
What is that? Just give me one thing. Okay, so what is the one thing that you commit to?
preparation. Let's put it to that preparation.
So what is the one thing that you can do such that you will prepare better? Okay,
I
for the next
need
for
to set
today.
up a routine. I need to set up a routine. Let's say
So why
every
not? Let's commit to your
evening.
routine right now.
Yeah.
What are you committed to? I mean, I feel that
Okay.
intention of that commitment is not is. I'm trying to be the devil's
Yeah, that's
advocate, by
good.
the way.
Yeah, yeah. Be that.
Yeah.
Be uncomfortable.
I can't be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Be
do
a pain in
poke
the
me.
ass is another way. Okay, but
So
yeah, but
here's what I'm committed to to creating and establishing a routine where I not only look back at what I've done this day, but where I set out to what are the most important things that need to be done, the high priority things, and where I actually create a time frame where I do them. And
so
you know,
why
I
not?
have.
Why can't you commit to it right now? What time of the day can you do it? I think it's just. I
I
think
think in the
it's
morning and in the evening.
okay.
I need.
So precise. So what time?
If I go about my normal morning routine, I would have to, you know, I get up around 5 o'clock, sometimes a little
Wow.
earlier.
Okay.
Um, um, I would have to fiddle it. I would have to find a time spot. You know, I start with drinking a glass filled with some green powder. I go out on the balcony. I do the power questions, and I think after the power questions or after the meditation, you know, power questions, then meditation, then I'm practically filled with energy. Then I need to go about planning, revising, getting, you know, seeing what. Sometimes it's just a matter of seeing what is on my list. What do I have to get rid of? This would work in the morning, and in the evening. Two little times. I don't think I need
Do you
so
mind? Okay.
much
Do you
time.
mind if I? Do you mind if I try to be difficult? Okay. So if it
Do
is
try.
actually the most important, if this is actually the most important thing in your life, it should actually be more important even than your drinking water. Because
Yes.
if this is indeed truly the first, is if this is indeed the one thing, then you should do it even before your water. Because after the water, you each element of a routine uses a tiny bit of our willpower. By the time you get to your power questions, you don't have much left. So you haven't been asking you those questions. If you're actually sure that asking these questions is more important than the water, then I feel that you should actually do it before the water or while drinking the water.
Yeah, I wouldn't skip the water because that is really so energizing. It's a
Yeah.
very firm and
So
established part of my
so
routine.
can it be the second thing after the water then?
It can be the second thing, although I think water going out on the balcony is already great. Is such a great start, and this is just
So
5 minutes.
can you do your power questions? Can you do can you do your prioritization question in the balcony?
I can do that. Or I can, I can fiddle with it in my mind. But the most important thing, I'm doing that all the time. The most important thing is sitting down and actually putting it to paper or putting it into Trello.
Okay, why don't you do it right now? Oh, no, do it right now. No, no procrastination. This conversation is less important than that. Okay, so type it in Google Hangouts. I'll keep you accountable. Okay, so right now,
absolutely.
what is the one thing that you can do such that everything else will become unnecessary? Okay, you've said the routine, but if you have this routine, what would be it for today and tomorrow?
Okay, tomorrow, I still have a few tests that I need to correct. I definitely need to get around to do that. Also, so that is then I would prepare all the rest of the lessons. I mean, we're approaching the Christmas holiday, so it's not that much left. But if I can get rid of that today, I'm going to have super relaxed last 2 weeks because I can go
so I'll push you to the
that's
next
what I'm
level.
going to do too. That's what I'm going today.
Okay, but it should be a very smart goal, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timed. What time will you correct your test by?
I have about 10 tests left, so it will take me about, let's say, 60 minutes to do the tests, but then I would have to spend another 30 minutes doing some remarks, etc. So 90 minutes of that, and an additional, I wouldn't take more than 60 minutes because honestly, I'm still recuperating, so resting today will also be important. So I have to restrict myself to not do too much, to not blow it up. An hour of solid preparation will do.
Okay, when will you do that, and when will you finish that by?
You mean in time? When by today?
Yeah.
So
GMT.
I think I can have the tests corrected by 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I would then need some rest, and
Okay,
in the evening by 6, I want to have finished everything. So I basically want to close the school bag. I will have my stuff
finish school
by 6
preparation.
p.m. Yeah, 6 p.m. I want to be finished, and 6 p.m. I'm not going to do any. I'm not going to think about school anymore. I'm going to focus on relaxation, taking a walk, etc.
So the last closing remark for you will be: this is the most important thing. Okay, so for the coming week, what is the one thing that you can commit to with a time?
Time frame in the morning and the evening to plan the day, including my meals. I told you how I'm struggling with my nutrition. So basically, I have my routines, and the routines they're very firmly established. But they're also now they've become easy. I do them, but I need some more focus on let's say moving consciously in a certain direction and planning, taking action.
Okay, I see that I can push you further. Okay, so you see that you're in the comfort zone. So you mentioned that you can do the power question, whatever that would be, the focusing question, whatever that would be, the one thing question, or
in the morning and in the evening.
In a balcony. When can you do that in the evening concretely?
I'd actually say, if I finish my stuff at 6 p.m., that would be a very good time. In general, I want to be finished doing anything work related by that time.
Yeah.
So after that, immediately after that, I can look back at what I've done.
Where?
Where?
In the school, or in your home, or in your commute?
Wherever I'm, when I'm with a computer. So mostly it would be at home.
Can you do that the first thing when you switch on the computer? Okay.
Yeah. So whenever I'm finished with that, and I'm turning on the computer, I'm looking back at what I've done, and I'm setting out to see, okay, what do I need to do tomorrow? So I basically have this twofold approach of morning, evening, looking back, seeing what went right, how much energy, how much more energy did I gain, how much momentum did this create?
Yeah. Okay, so do you agree with what I've typed on the side?
Absolutely. I would say balcony focusing question. I would add that
Easy.
afterwards I need to put this into the computer so that I have it written down, because
Yeah.
otherwise it just keeps floating in my mind. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. You don't need basically you don't need to work on your routine. You have got the routine now. Well, you have got something
Right.
you can
I just
commit
need to
to.
do it.
You
So
just have to
Ben,
stick to it now.
yeah, so Benson, nice talking to you, but I have more important matters. No.
Okay.
No, no.
Okay.
So shall we? It's already the 6th of December. Shall we set up another talk?
That's okay.
I'll
Let
get my
me.
I'll get my calendar.
Yeah. New Year? Oh, okay. So let me see. Uh, okay. The weekend of the 26th, I will be away, and the weekend of the 2nd, I will be away. So either in 2 weeks or in a month.
I think in 2 weeks sounds
Or
about right. Let me just check
yes,
that.
that's about it. So we
The,
keep up the momentum. So the balcony thing
so that would
and
be
the
the 20th of December.
yes. So shall we keep it talking about routine so much? I've got a call at 10:30. I being realistic, I need some time to wake. Actually, no, maybe 9:30.
9:30 is perfect.
Okay. All right. Next time. Let's aim
20th of
to.
December, and you do a Google invitation again. I make
Yeah.
sure
Actually, let me do.
I make
Let me
sure
just
I,
do it.
I accept it immediately. Okay,
Okay.
great,
Okay.
great.
So
Nice.
I will chat with you next time. Okay.
Yeah, right. And I'm off to correcting my stuff.
Yay. Okay. Great.
Goodbye, Vincent. Nice, absolutely a pleasure to talk to you once again.
Okay. I bless you too. Bye.
See you around.